Hegel.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferris 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Ferris 64 is, of course, the one-stop shop for video game news, occurrences, first impressions, and so much more. We got a nice slate of things for you today, but first, thank you for listening to the last episode where I had just Callus, come onto the podcast and talk about the Switch 2, pretty much everything Switch 2 that we had known at the time. I'll be updating things here and there as we get news, but that's the first time I've also had two camera footages. We're at the edit together, when people are talking, so it would very much be appreciated if you checked that one out because it was a bit more work than usual, but I think it turned out really, really well. So, yes, if you want anything Switch 2 related about the reveals and all that stuff, that's last episode. This episode, I'm going to try and not talk about the Switch 2 because last episode was like the entire thing, but there is still a few news points to talk about. But we also have a fair amount of other things to talk about, like South of Midnight and Blueprints and the Triple I Initiative event or whatever it's called. So we'll get to all those things and more. But first, what have I been playing this past week? First up, I've been playing a lot of South of Midnight. I think I'm a little bit more than halfway through at this point. I'm in Chapter 7, so we'll see how much more there is. I know that the game isn't like super terribly long. It's kind of one of those games that it kind of says what it needs to say, and then it is done with it. And it's been a very good time. South of Midnight has been like a fun, engaging, like really beautifully crafted kind of experience. And it all starts with your character Hazel, who is prepping for like a hurricane coming through or whatever, and her mom's late, and they have an argument, and then a flood sweeps the house away while Hazel was out checking on the other neighbors around. And so the game starts off with you trying to fetch your mother, and this awakens something inside of you. It's revealed that Hazel is a weaver who can see strands of I don't know, magic or whatever in the air, and she can just do lots of things. Let's just say. So it starts out a little bit basic, where it's like, okay, here's how to jump, here's how to do this, do that. But you do quickly acquire some weapons and some moves and some special abilities, and it just kind of keeps building on top of itself going forward. So it starts out, like I said, pretty basic, jump, dash, whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, here you have these two weapons that you can use to fight, and then you also have this like dodge move, and then you also have a push ability. You also have a pull ability. You have a weave ability, which wraps up enemies in like webbing that makes them so they can't move. You have like a super powerful attack. You have a finishing move where you have to untangle the enemy and rip their like heart out or whatever, their soul out to kill them fully. There's also like a double jump that you get later on, and a glide, which as soon as I saw the glide, I was like, oh, Hazel for Fortnite, I guess. Probably not, but yeah, so like the basics of the game are fun. The combat in the game is fun. The one thing about the combat that I wasn't super vibing with was the enemies, when they attack you, they don't really have a good tell. And I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but it has led to some not untimely deaths, but just some times I'm getting hit, and I feel like, oh, why didn't like the enemy show me that it was about to do a one-frame animation attack? Like it's kind of ridiculous. I also feel like during the combat sequences, they could have, or maybe should have, pulled the camera back a little bit, because you can't really see the battlefield sometimes when you're playing, when you're doing like the little combat encounters. Everything always happens inside of like a ring. So you have like all this, like, it's called stigma, but it's like these little growths and pustules and black webbing all around the area. And Sometimes it's a nice wide area, and the camera does do an okay job with that. Um, because you can see a lot of enemies on your screen when you just turn the camera around. But other times it's a more tight knit area, and I feel like the camera's just too close to see what you need to see. And you end up getting hit from behind, or an enemy attacks you, and you're not really sure where they're coming from because you can't really move your camera around like really fast unless you like put your sensitivity up to like 100. But maybe that's what I need. Maybe I do need to adjust my sensitivity for the camera. It's hard to say, but I feel like this issue just has been kind of persisting throughout the entire game, where I feel like one, enemy attacks aren't telegraphed like well enough for the most part. It's fine, but there are some moves that these enemies do that just kind of like come out of nowhere. It feels like, and then the other half of that is the fact that the camera just seems to be too zoomed in at times when you're fighting enemies, and it does have a lock-on system, so it's not like it's not like you're focusing on one enemy only, or you can't focus on any enemies. You can't focus on any enemies. But I mean, I usually, when I'm playing the game, I usually don't lock on because the enemies do kind of group together sometimes, and it's a little bit easier to just kind of like hit wherever you need to hit instead of just being focused on one enemy. But for the most part, like I said, the combat is fine. I think it works well. It's fun. It's refreshing at times. You do get some pretty cool abilities, and you do upgrade them by getting these like little collectible tangles everywhere. And yeah, I think the combat works pretty well. The platform in the game also is pretty good. It's a bit linear in terms of pathing, but I think that that's an okay thing. I don't think every single game needs to be like the giant open world, like, hey, you can do a million things at once type game. I feel like having a game that is more compact and linear is a good thing right now, especially for me, because I've been playing a lot of like these open games, and a lot of them have these massive open worlds. Like, I mean, obviously Assassin's Creed is one of those games where it's just like, go anywhere, climb anything. But South of Midnight's more like, okay, yeah, you can go here and you can go here, and there's maybe a little secret path over here, but mostly we need to stay on this path. And I do like how they did weave, no pun intended, weave like little side areas and secret areas to explore, and to get some more materials like the threads, or you can get some collectibles. Like there's things you can read, and you can collect those as lore. Or there's also you need to collect three like like I don't know what they are. They're kind of like diamond shaped green objects. If you collect three of them, you can upgrade your health, and those are also sprinkled around. Not as you don't see them as much as the threads and the collectibles, so they are the most scarce item. But I've already upgraded my health once, and I'm almost ready to upgrade it again. So I feel like it's a pretty proper way to do it. It's not just like leveling up every chance you get. Also, I think the visual design of this game is amazing. It has like that Louisiana Southern flair, you know what I'm saying? And it just oozes the culture of that area, while also incorporating these like mystical elements, and I guess you can, yeah, I guess you could call it like voodoo. But it's not really voodoo. They don't call it voodoo, and they don't really refer to it as voodoo. But there's something there's some just some visual flair, some things that kind of remind me, like, oh, I mean, like I've maybe seen something like this in like the voodoo culture, but I think it is very much more focused on this more supernatural element. Well, maybe not supernatural, but just mystical element. There is like a giant talking catfish, as you saw in the trailers, along with like a giant alligator, giant birds and such. So there are some pretty crazy things in here. And then there's also, I forgot to talk about the enemy design themselves. They are like these gray, blackish with red accents kind of enemies that there's a couple of different varieties, which it has been steadily adding on more enemy types to the game. I do feel like the encounters do kind of play out most the same, in my opinion, with a little bit of variation in there, but they have been adding in more enemy variety as it goes on. It's just that you do get a lot of those like regular enemies stacked on top of each other, and then they're like, "Hey, here's the one new enemy randomly placed in at the end," or or whatever. Um, and I'm sure that they'll keep adding some more as I go through. The moment the enemy I just maybe not just found, but I found most recently is like this big hulking enemy that is very tanky, has a big fist. So we'll see if they keep adding in more after that. Back to the visual design of the game, there are some instances where the frame rate is intentionally dropped for the characters themselves, which I think is pretty cool. It's a very interesting style. I think it works very well for this game. And I also like the character designs and the enemy designs and the world design in general just looks very, very good. I think they did a great job with the design of everything in general. I think that the visual flair is on point. I also think that the music is very good too. Like it's got a very swing bluegrass style while also having some more like modern instrumentation in there as well at times. There's a distinct like I don't know if like 40s style in there as well of like 40s like big band as well, where they'll craft this song with a lot of like stuff from that time period, big band type of sound, which is really cool too. Like it seems like each major encounter that you have has a song written about that encounter, which is pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty nice touch that they actually went in there and wrote these songs and crafted these songs to tell more of the story as you're climbing up like a tree or you're going through the swamp and and the alligator's kind of like swimming around. You're like, oh, and it starts playing the Two Toes Tom song. So that adds some storytelling without it having to force it in your face. Like you don't have to read a collectible or have someone in the game like explain it to you for 5 minutes. It's just like, okay, you've not only seen what has happened, but you're also getting sung in the background, kind of some more background there, some more context, which is really nice. I think that's really, really, really fun. So far, I mean, I would give this a recommendation, especially if you like a more linear, like I guess it's like a hack and slash RPG style because you do level yourself up, but there's a lot of hacking and slashing, platforming in there. So it's a few different genres mixed together, but it's mostly like an action adventure type game, platforming, combat, collectibles, the works. But it's not open world. It is very much like a linear experience. But there are, like I said, there's plenty of winding paths for you to take to get to some extras. There's a lot of fun little details mixed in. And I think that they did a great job with the overall atmosphere, the overall vibe of the game. And I think they did a pretty good job with the combat as well. Just a few things that I would tweak personally, but we'll see if anything comes to that. So as of right now, definitely a thumbs up, probably like a thumb and a half, honestly. Like if you really want to try this game out, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, I would even say like, yeah, I think like the $50 price tag is good for this one. I've been playing it on Game Pass myself, so I think that's also a good place to play it, of course, if you just want to try it out. I don't know if there's a demo available for this game, but you do get into it quite quickly. So if you want to check it out and maybe you're not vibing with it after like an hour or two, then you could probably get a refund on Steam. I'm not going to poo-poo you for that. But I would say, yeah, I think this is a good one to try out. It's got some fun combat, got a nice open world. Not open world. It's got a nice world to explore. And I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. And I do feel like it is getting swept under the rug a little bit because there is a lot more to be excited for right now, including things like the Switch 2 and whatever is happening with GTA and all this other crap. So I do feel like it's unfortunate that South of Midnight is kind of releasing into a time period where you have a big console launch on the horizon, and that direct about the Switch 2 and subsequently everything after that has kind of overshadowed the launch of this game. But I'm here to say it's worth your time. It is definitely worth your time, and I mean, it might be up for some game awards at the end of the year. I could definitely see it being up for like a visual design award or graphics award or whatever. We'll see what happens though. We'll see what happens. I definitely tried out South of Midnight. I've also been playing the new puzzle game Blueprints. This is a walking simulator puzzle game that recently came out. A lot of people were kind of like wondering what this game was actually going to be because the initial trailers and stuff like that really didn't show much. It was just kind of like, hey, you're walking into this house and sometimes the rooms change. Ooh, it's much more roguelite than that, which is kind of crazy. So it's a roguelite puzzle walking simulator kind of game. So let's just start off with you. I think you inherit like it doesn't really give a lot of detail, but I think you inherit this house or you're going back to like your grandfather's house, and he's post mortem he's set up this dubious house design where every time you walk into the house, the foyer, like the opening area, is the same. But as there's three doors you can choose, and you choose one of those, choose those doors, and there's different rooms every time that you open the door. You get to choose between one of three rooms. So, there could be a dead end room, there could be like a hallway type room, or there could be a room with multiple exits. And each room has a special property to it, minus like one or two here and there that don't have anything going on. So the main thing about the game is trying to path yourself through this house to get to the final antechamber, is called, which I feel like is like the Matrix chamber, like the end of the Matrix when is it Neo goes into like that bright white room and it's just like the guy sitting in the chair. I feel like that's kind of how it's going to be, but we'll find out. We'll find out. So the main goal of the game, like I said, is to path your way to that antechamber and see how to get inside. And there's plenty of secrets and things to discover along the way. The game strongly recommends that you use like a notepad or you keep a list of clues as you go along. And I was not doing that for like my first 10 days in the house. And I decided to start doing that because I was I was kind of like forgetting things that I hadn't seen in a minute. So I would, if you're planning on committing to this game, I would recommend maybe open up a notepad on your computer while you're playing, or on your phone, and just write down like the code that you find, or write down a password or something like that, because you might not use it for the next couple of runs, and then once you get to that point again, you might forget it because it's not something you've been using a lot. Same thing with like save codes. Since the rooms are random, sometimes you don't get the room with the safe every single time. So, and also there's like 6 different safes or something like that I saw, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. So the main gist of it is that you're walking through these rooms, and you have a limited number of rooms that you can enter before you have to go to sleep. You have to turn in for the night. They start you with 50 steps, and every time you enter into a room, you lose a step. And if you go outside, there's an outside area. You lose a step going outside. There's also different separate areas outside that you can also lose steps in. But inside the house is the most clear. When you go into a room, you lose that step. There are rooms that can gain steps back, like bedrooms and stuff like that. There's also fruit you can eat that gain steps, or food. There's other rooms that have negative effects. They're usually coded in red, and it'll be like use 2 steps while walking through this one, or half your step counter, or you can't like there's the dark room, which is the most dubious of them all, which is you can't see the different floor plans that you're picking. You have to kind of guess, so you could get screwed by picking. There's 3 entrances, so you could pick 2 dead ends, which is just annoying as all hell if that does happen to you. There are ways to negate these things, but obviously I don't want to give away too many secrets. There's other rooms that have things that you can buy. You can buy like gems and keys and stuff like that. All things that are viable for the game itself. There are green rooms, which are usually like these outdoor areas. They have places to dig. If you have the shovel, you can dig up things and maybe get like an item. There's also like these chests scattered around sometimes, and you can use a key to unlock those. Or if you get the sledgehammer, you can bust them open without having to use a key, which is nice. There's puzzle rooms, like the main one you're gonna get is the foyer, I think it's called, and that one has a wind up puzzle where there's three boxes. One of them is always going to have a true statement. One of them is always going to have a lie, and then the third one is a guess. Is it going to be a lie, or you have to use your deduction, your deductive reasoning, Sherlock Holmes over here to to figure it out, which is fun. The other room, which is like the billiard room, has a dartboard which has a lot of math. And if you know me, you know I kind of hate math, but I mean I've been doing pretty well with it. I have had to pull out the calculator a few times because it gets pretty complicated. The more you use it, the more complicated the math gets. And there was one time where I was like, I don't know what this one is. I tried doing things on the calculator, tried doing everything I could. So I just started pressing random numbers on the dartboard, and eventually I got it. So there are ways to brute force your way through these things as usual. But the main things you need for this game are keys, gems, and coins, along with your step counter, of course. Keys will open locked doors or chests. Coins will allow you to buy things, or if you need to spend a coin to go through a room, you can spend a coin to go through a room. And then the gems will allow you to purchase floor plans that are more rare. So this floor plan might be a 1 gem price because it has something really good in it, or it might be a 2 gem because it's a really good floor plan. It has 4 different hallways you can go through, or if it's a 3 or more gem, that's really, really special. The one that I always recommend people to get is the security room, and if you do find it, the breaker box room. The combination of these 2 rooms is essential for getting through the game, especially if you don't find a certain item. There's a key card that you need to find that allows you to go through key card doors. But if you don't find that key card because it's all random chance, then you'll want to have the breaker box room, which you can turn off the key card access rooms, and the security room to make it so that when the power is off, the doors are automatically unlocked. If you don't have that combo, you're kind of screwed if you don't have a key card. If you have a key card, you're fine. Honestly, if you have a key card, you can turn up the security to maximum to try and get as many key card doors as you can because it's pretty much a free entryway. The reason why you're going to get stuck in this game is because either you don't have enough keys, you don't have enough gems, or you don't have enough steps. And the fourth one, which is probably the most common, is that you block yourself in. You either get bad RNG while choosing your floor plan, or just things don't work out and you end up just backing yourself into a wall. I guess a good tip is to try and build your way with many different exits. Like if you have a split like 3-way room, to try and make sure that one of those 3-way splits goes into an open area at least one time, because that is going to give you the best chance of making it to the end. Because even if you have to backtrack a little bit and start building lower than you were, you can at least get some new items and maybe find what you need to advance at the top. So if you do run into a locked door, it's not always wise to use your last key there. You could go back and try and go through a different way. So this Blueprints game has been equally enjoyable, but also equally frustrating for me because I have been having the worst luck imaginable. Everyone else and their mother have made it to that antechamber, and they've gone through and they've seen whatever's in the antechamber. I've been trying not to look things up. Okay, but for me personally, I feel like every single run I do, I get to that like 9th floor plan ranking. So essentially it starts at rank 1 and you go all the way up to rank 10, which is the antechamber row. And I feel I build my way up to rank 9 and rank 10, and either the antechamber door is closed or I run out of items by that time. I run out of gems, or I run out of keys, or I run out of money. Or steps, I should say. Money is not as big of an issue, but the steps is the big issue. I run out of steps. And it's just one of those things where it's very frustrating to spend all that time working your way, having a mostly perfect run, except, I just didn't find enough gems this time around, or I didn't find the key card, and of course I have like a million key card things, and I haven't gotten the 2 breaker box and security room combo. So there's a lot of things there that can trip you up, but it's also good to explore and see and see the various things that this house has to offer. Like there's a lot of rooms that don't show up unless you're in a specific area of the house. Like the garage is only going to show up on the sides, so it's good to maybe choose the garage every once in a while, see what's inside. And if you have certain things done already, there are more things you can do at the garage that you couldn't do before. So there's a lot of cool things there, like secrets in the game as well, where it's like, okay, you're going through the game and you find a hidden safe, or you find you go through the garage and you have the power on, so you can open up the garage door. You can see what the heck's outside, right? So there's a lot of cool things there in the game to just kind of explore and learn and hopefully try and improve yourself. There's also ways to make to do permanent improvements. Some of them are random, like finding a floppy disk and improving it in a terminal at the in the house. Or there's other ones that are a little bit less random, where you can permanently increase your money by finding a certain envelope or doing a certain thing. So it's been an interesting time so far, albeit a bit frustrating at times. I feel like I'm just having either I'm just like really terrible at the game, or I think more likely is I'm having some very bad luck while playing the game. So I but it's addicting though. Like it's got that one more try mantra to it, where it's like, I almost got to the end. I'm gonna do another run, and it counts how many days you've been in the house. Every time you get too exhausted to move on or you need to restart, it counts as a day. So right now I'm on the cusp of day 30, which I know is quite a lot, and I think most people maybe not finish the game, but get to that final anti-chamber place within like day 15. And I feel like I'm just I don't know why, but I feel like I'm just very much struggling with this one. But once again, like it's fun. Like it's a good time. So it's like, what, it's a very much like a give and take kind of game, where it's like you're still having fun choosing these rooms and seeing how far you can get, but you're also like not having fun sometimes because it's like, well, I got stuck very close to the end again. Might as well go hang myself. Like there's moments where you just feel so frustrated that you just feel like you're never gonna get it. But now that I'm writing down notes, I can at least be more consistent with things. Like I can most certainly get through most safes that I find that are like the basic safes. I have the admin password for the terminal, so I can do things on the terminals. I've been finding other things as well that have been very helpful. Oh my gosh! On top of all that, there are special items you can use. I've already mentioned the shovel and the sledgehammer, but there's also like a metal detector for detecting when something's like coins or gems are around. There's a lock picking set you can get, which you can try and lock pick doors. It'll work sometimes, but not all the time. There's also an item that allows you to re-roll your floor plans, your 3 floor plans. So it's like a dice, which is nice if you get stuck. There's sneakers, which I believe just give you more steps, I'm pretty sure. There's also a sleeping mask. When you walk into bedrooms, a lot of times they will give you steps back. That'll like double your steps or give you 10 extra steps there. There's a coupon book for buying things at a less price. So there's a lot of also items to find in the game as well, magnifying glasses and stuff like that to help you throughout your adventure too. So always keep your eyes open. There are specific places where most things are going to spawn, or like there's things guaranteed to spawn. So make sure you get those as well. But other than that, I really don't have any other I don't have any other hints, because I've been struggling with the game, and it's the blind leading the blind there essentially, because I'm not doing. I feel like I'm not doing that good of a job getting through this game. But it is a roguelite, so there's always room for improvement with yourself. And getting through the game is it's been more of a challenge than I think most people were expecting. Me personally was not expecting to be this hard to walk through some fucking doors, but here we are. So, Blueprints, check that out if you want. I wasn't expecting to spend this much time talking about it, because it is a relatively basic game, all things considered, but hey, sometimes the most passionate games are the ones that are the least expected. All right, obviously I've been playing more of the first Berserker Khazan. I've been streaming it, so if you want to check it out, I play on Twitch. I've been doing like Tuesdays and Thursdays for Khazan, if you want to check that out. And I don't have a lot to say because the game has just been really good. Like, oh no, the game's just been really good. I don't have anything new to say. But I mean, I've been learning more about the game as I've gone on. I don't know if I have anything new to like add on to last like 2 episodes ago's conversation about it. But just know, like, there's a lot of really fun things to do in here. There's hack and slashing, lots of cool combos you can unlock, weapons and armor sets that give you new special traits to your character, like extra stamina regen or extra damage or extra whatever. Um, I mean, I haven't tried using the other weapons still. Like, I haven't used the spear or the greatsword. And I mean, I might try and use those down the road, but I'm just enjoying the akimbo swords so much. It's kind of like it's kind of great for my play style. And I've been making progress with the game. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I'm on the second like set of levels now, which I think there's like 3 slabs or maybe 4 slabs. It's kind of like it's set up kind of like Demon Souls, where you choose like a slab of stone, and it has the different like areas that you can go to. So it's kind of set up like that, where you choose a stone and you choose where you want to go. There's some side missions laced in there, which are a lot of repeated content here and there, like the bosses and stuff like that. A lot of times, though, the bosses have something new or a new quirk to them. So there's the one boss is like this giant beast man, and instead of instead of it being like the real beast man, it's like a ghost version of him. So you're hitting him, and he can like vanish and reappear randomly, which is it mixes up the fight a lot, and I think that it does a good job with that. But there's also some side content that's not reused. There's like this whole area that you're going through where you're finding jars for this guy, or there's another area where you're going through and you're fighting like undead soldiers and a bear at the end of it all. So there's a lot of mixing it up as well with the side missions too. Leveling up has been pretty smooth, and finding new characters has been fun. I finally found the blacksmith who can make armor sets for you if you get the right materials to him. There's also a lady who can dismantle your weapons and give you extra XP, which is cool too. Um, there's another. So there's these redstones that are everywhere. I don't think I talked about this before. There's these redstones that you can break, and there's like 3 or 4 in each level. And if you spend them at one of the shops, you can upgrade either your health or the amount of XP you gain by killing enemies. So it's pretty imperative that you find those as well. And now, hidden throughout each level, there's also a jar man, and the jar guy gives you something special too if you find enough of his jar guys. It's kind of set up like Neo, because that game had like the little pothead guys in the game as well. They're like little, maybe they weren't jar heads, but they were like little spears that you found laced around the area, and they gave you something special if you found enough of them. And this kind of has the same thing going on. The game is very similar to something like Neo, which I do like, because I think Neo, compared to other Souls games, Neo is the most versatile of all the Souls games, in my opinion. It gives maybe minus Elden Ring, honestly, but it gives you a lot of options, and it gives you a lot of things to do. Khazan, sure, it is a bit more linear in its approach to the Souls-like genre, but I think that because it has so much influence from Neo, it makes things a lot more flowing. It makes the upgrading system a lot better. Also, the gear system is very much based off of what Neo did with certain gear sets having certain properties to them and stuff like that. So if you like Neo, I think you'll really like this game, which is the first Berserker Khazan. And yeah, I personally I've been really enjoying it. There's a reason why I keep streaming it, and it's because, one, people love me watching the game, so I'll keep doing it. But 2, it's also fun to show the process of these Souls games. I mean, there's sometimes like I've played several Souls games on the channel that I already know how they work, right? I played what did I play on here? I played a couple of Souls games now. What did we play though? We played Dark Souls 3, right? Maybe not. But Bloodborne's one that I played a few times, and there's not really a process to those games because I already know the bosses, I already know the configurations of the enemies, I already know what class I'm going to make and stuff like that. But when you're playing something like the first Berserker Khazan, or even a couple years ago, I played the 2014 version of Lords of the Fallen. I played that as well for the first time, but that one was a pretty easy Souls like in my opinion. It didn't really take too long to get things going there. But Kazan has been a good challenge all the way through. A lot of the game is learning the patterns of the bosses so they can kill them. um, but I mean, what Souls like game is not learning the patterns of the bosses so you can get a easier time killing them, right? And with how many different things there are laced into Kazan, it has a kind of Sekiro style where there are certain attacks you have to dodge. There's certain attacks you need to counterattack. There's certain attacks that you can perfect parry. So it kind of has that system too, where you're juggling those things in your brain while also trying to be offensive, so you can take down their stamina and do some brutal hits on them. And almost every single boss so far has had some major transition or set like 3 different phases to them while you're going through their health bar. The nice thing, in my opinion, is that most boss fights, even if they do have phase transitions, it's 1 health bar. It's not like a multiple health bars. So I do like that better than what some games do, where it's like, oh, there's 2 phases, and phase 1 has a full health bar, and phase 2 has a full health bar. Well, they combine health bars for most of the bosses, which is nice because it does give you a sense of progression, like chipping away at their health. But I think that is also a good idea because it's still the same enemy. It's the same guy, you know. They have updated the game a few times to nerf some bosses. Unfortunately for me, I already like the boss that they nerfed the most, which was the Lizard Man. I had already beaten him like a couple of days ago by the time that update rolled around for the boss to be nerfed a bit. So, you know, kind of annoying, but also like it was more fun to like fight a boss that was actually challenging though. Like that's the thing. Like there's gonna always be a group of people who try out these Souls games and they go, oh, it's too hard, and then they complain, and then developers like, fine, we'll do something to help you. But the stupid thing is that Kazan has an easy mode. You can switch to the easy mode at any time. It's built into the game, and there's other things you can do inside the game as well, much like any Souls game, to make things a little bit easier. But no one wants to choose those things. They want the easy way, which is complain to the developer so that they update the game and they make the boss a little bit less aggressive, or they make they make his attacks hit less. And it's like kind of just removing some of the challenge from the game. I remember when they nerfed the final boss of the Elden Ring DLC, I was kind of pissed because like I beat him before they did that, and even though it's like still a challenge, don't get me wrong, to beat him now with the updates and what that, it is relatively easier. So you're going to have an easier time than a lot of people who initially bought the DLC for Shadow of the Erdtree. And I think it does take a little bit away from that feeling of, oh, I just beat that boss, like that great feeling that you have, because a lot of people talk about it, that the boss has been nerfed. And sure, you can remove some updates here and there, but that could also cause other things to break too. So I guess if you're a person who maybe wants an easier time with Souls-like games, wait like a year for them to fix, or not fix, but like update the game and I guess adjust some values for bosses and stuff like that, because you're going to have a harder experience when the game is fresh and new, as we've seen with many of these Souls games. But once they start tweaking things in the back end, then things start to get a little bit easier. And then, 2 years later, you're watching someone play the same game, and you're like, wow, I really struggled on this boss, and they're beating it in one go. Then something's up. They definitely updated the game enough to make it a bit more easy on the first playthrough at least. But I do feel like, even though it's still a good, it's still a great feat to do that. Sure, I'm not trying to poo-poo anyone. It's still a little bit annoying for like me and other people who played the game when it first came out, where it's like, oh, well, I had to like die 15 times to this guy before I killed him because he was so aggressive, or because his moves were a little bit more damaging, or he had a lot of defensive stuff. Like, and then you're watching someone play it, and it's like, well, now the boss is like kind of walking around a lot, and then he's doing like attack here or there, giving you plenty of time to heal or allows like a phantom or whatever to do damage on him. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a hater here or gatekeeper, but it is a little bit annoying if the game is not going to have difficulty levels like most Souls-like games don't. I feel like updating the game is kind of a cheap way to adjust difficulty. And if they really wanted to adjust the difficulty, just put in 3 different difficulty ranges, which I know has been a controversy in the past, where people want like an easy mode for Dark Souls, and there are ways to make an easy mode with like magic builds or whatever. But if you're going to update the game so drastically that makes so many bosses docile in the end, maybe just put an easy mode like Khazan did, and allow people to do that. Because I will say I'm complaining about this a lot, but there isn't that much being done in the long run to these bosses right now. They're just making them. I mean, I've read through the updates and I kind of forget what most of them were. But they are making some things, like this move's a bit more easy to predict, or this boss has a little bit less health, or this boss, it does some, that lizard boss, they definitely ramped back how often he attacks with the update. So just things to think about. I'm not here to tell you like, oh, if you wait to play a Souls game, you're a bad gamer. No, I'm not here to sell that at all. I'm just saying from my perspective as a person who plays a lot of these games day one or day two, it can be a bit annoying to hear like or to see these bosses get these major nerfs, and then whoever you're watching just ghost breezes through them like a cakewalk while you were there banging your head against the wall for 30 minutes or more. So I don't think they're going to do that with Khazan, though, because they do have that easy mode. So I don't think they're going to do that with the Khazan, but I could see them maybe implementing some of the changes to the normal mode if it does come to that. But like I said, if there's levels, like different level modes, difficulty modes, I feel like they really shouldn't be nerfing the bosses if they have already an easy mode or a normal mode. It just doesn't make much sense in my eyes personally for them to change these bosses in the normal mode. I don't know. I don't know. It's time to move on. Let's move on to what's in the news. All right, the III Initiative 2025. I'm going to go through this showcase. I accidentally said what's in the news, but I'm going to probably play the play the sound effect for the what was announced at that game showcase, because there was about 30 games announced or shown off here, and a lot of them I was interested in. First up, Katana Zero is getting some free DLC for the game. This game came out 2019, something like that. So they're finally adding some DLC. It looks very good. Katana Zero, if you don't know, it's a very hardcore, like one hit and you're dead kind of game, but enemies are also usually one hit and they're dead. It's a lot of like dodging bullets and running around enemy fire. So you will continue Zero's journey right where it left off and explore his murky past. It will include new characters, levels, and gameplay. So this is free DLC for the game, which is really nice, especially for a game that's as old as this. You would expect them to maybe put out a sequel and or paid DLC, but free DLC, not too bad. A game called Void Breaker, which is coming from the same studio that did the Entropy Center, I'm pretty sure. This is a first-person shooter with bullets, bombs, and robots. There are hostile AI who are trying to attack you, and you need to run and gun your way through the hordes of these robots in a roguelite adventure. So there's going to be destructible environments, crafting, and upgrades for your weapons as you go along. The game looks pretty good. Definitely, I mean, a lot of these games I added to my wish list on Steam. So this is definitely one of them that I added to my wish list. Another game called Frost Rail is a first-person, like a kind of like a snowy Rust, kind of like Metro and Rust kind of combined, I guess people are saying. It's a co-op game for up to 4 players. You work together to survive the snowy apocalypse and keep the Eden engine, which is a train that serves as your home base and a mobile fortress moving. So it's kind of like Snowpiercer 2, I guess. But there's a lot of like crafting and open world adventuring as you, try and keep your train running. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. A game called The Altars, which is coming out relatively soon on June 13th. You are on a hostile alien planet where your protagonist, Jan Dolsky, is 3 days away from facing sunrise that'll turn him to ashes. Kind of reminds me of that scene from that Vin Diesel movie, Riddick, The Chronicles of Riddick. The altars has players create alternative versions of Jan to help him survive. So I think we've seen this game before, where you kind of have like multiples of yourself doing things. Kind of a cool little concept. A game called Neverway is a new pixel art life sim adventure game with some nightmare fuel built in, I guess. It puts you in the boots of Fiona, who quits her dead-end job so she can start a new life on a farm. And it's not long before she becomes the immortal herald of the dead god and is forced to fight various horrors to pay off her debt. So that sounds kind of interesting, I suppose. There is a new all-original soundtrack coming from a composer called Disaster Peace. So fun, pretty fun. Deep Rock Galactic is getting a new update where they're going to, I guess it's like a roguelite mode for the game. So yeah, it's going to be called Rogue Core. It will feature several hallmarks of the genre, but with a co-op spin. So it's a co-op roguelite kind of game. There will be a closed alpha soon for that. A pretty chill-looking game called Outbound is coming on April 14th. There's an closed alpha coming April 14th. This is an open-world exploration game where you have an empty camper van and you steadily transform it into a dream home of your travels. So you essentially upgrade your camper as you go along in this open world. Another Deep Rock Galactic update called Survivor is a spin-off that sees you going up against hordes of enemies in a survival mode. This will be available for the full release on September 17th. There will be new missions, features, and biomes to explore as well in the game. Here was a big one for me. This game was pretty popular when I was in like high school, and it's called Speedrunners, and they're making a sequel. Speedrunners 2 King of Speed. This is coming back in 2025, a brand new sequel where you'll race in platforming races that allow up to 8 players. And yeah, I mean the original game is so much fun. You zip around the area, you try and be faster than everyone else, of course, so you can knock out opponents behind you. And there's like spike traps and boxes to climb over, and there's also like offensive capabilities for your characters as well. So I'm very happy to see this coming back because this was a big staple of like that time period of my life. I played like I feel like hundreds of hours of this game with my friends. So very fun time. There's gonna be some new characters, new moves, and power-ups. Rematch. This is the new game coming from the same people who did Sifu. We officially have a launch date for that. It's on June 19th. The game is going to be a 5v5 soccer game from the third-person perspective, skill-based gameplay, and some interesting footwork in there as well, which is pretty cool. There's going to be a closed beta, which actually is available right now. Dusk Fade. This is a game where you play as Zirian. He travels across a colorful fantasy land to restore time itself to the world of eternal night. This cloudpunk setting is going to be pretty interesting, and it's going to be a love letter to action platforms of yesteryear. I think it kind of looks like maybe like a Jack and Daxter type thing or something like that, just like an open world platformer if you can just kind of put that in your head. Another game called Ikuma the Frozen Compass. This is going to be a game where you adventure around, of course, a frozen wasteland essentially. This is set in 1864 in the uncharted Arctic island where a cabin boy named Sam and his loyal dog, Ellie, find themselves stranded. Together they will have to work together to survive the elements and find their way home. There will be co-op modes, and it is scheduled for release in 2026 on all major platforms. Into the Fire is another alien world kind of game. This is coming from the same people who made the game The Invincible, which I did not play yet. But this is an extraction game where you face off against the elements and natural disasters. Players will need to fight against natural and mythical dangers on Dante's Arpeggio, using their wits and retro-futuristic gear to combat disasters and save as many lives as possible. It's coming to Steam Early Access later this year. Tears of Metal. This was shown off during the Summer Games Fest last year, and I was very much interested in it. It looks very good. It's that game where it's kind of like in the Scottish Highlands, and there's two different groups of enemies kind of clashing against each other. But But yeah, this is going to be like a Dynasty Warriors inspired game, and it's a hack and slash roguelike, and the gameplay reveal looked really good. It looked really fun. And there's going to be a public beta, which will be available to play on April 17th, which I probably will do. The game itself looks really fun. Like I love the art style of the game. I love the visual flair of the game. I think that it just looks really cool. So check out Tears of Metal. That looks really good. I've said that too many times, but I'll say it again. It looks good. Vampire Survivors is teaming up with Square Enix's Saga series. It's adding a bunch of new attacks, 16 new characters and skins, along with a new stage with 7 biomes to explore. And it's actually a shadow drop the same day as the initiative, so if you want to check that out, it's available right now. Endless Legend 2. This is a strategy game that uses turn-based strategy and dynamic world building because it's constantly changing. This is going to be available in Steam Early Access summer of 2025, so it should be coming soon. Another game, X4 Foundations. There's a free update to this game that will arrive in summer of 2025. The diplomacy update will add new strategic elements and an embassy facility for anyone looking to try their hands at sci-fi diplomacy. Players will also be able to gain agents who can be deployed to help us shape the political and economic balance of the galaxy. Escape Simulator 2. There's a new trailer for this game that came out. It's a sequel to, of course, Escape Simulator. This one is going to be set in locations like Dracula's Castle and a starship lost in space. There's a demo available on Steam right now. I know that the original Escape Simulator was pretty well received. This one looks like it's getting a graphical boost as well as some really cool locations to it. Clover Pit. This is a roguelite gambling game where it's like a casino game. What are they called? Where you pull the lever on them. Slot machine. So this is described as being a love child of Balatro and Buckshot Roulette, which are 2 games that I really enjoyed, so this might be one for me to try out. I think Odom K, friend of the channel, he tried this out on Steam. Or on stream, and it looked pretty good. A bit complicated, but pretty good. But there is a demo available for this game right now. It's coming to PC later this year. The free demo is available to play right now. But yeah, essentially, you need to use the slot machine to pay off your debt. There's like a bunch of like different upgrades and stuff you can get as well as you go along to help with your run. And of course, if you don't pay off your debt in time, you die. So there's that. Blaze Blue, Entropy Effect. The game is being expanded into a roguelite adventure, and this is the latest of the updates that is coming out for it. There's actually 2 updates coming out for it. So the first one will be a new couch co-op mode. The second update will add a character from Dead Cells. Interesting. Game called Enshrouded. This is a co-op game that'll have a new update coming in May. Thralls of Twilight will pit players against some nasty foes as they are going to try and discover new powers to help them overcome new threats. Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. After several years without entry into this series, Heroes of Might and Magic made its return during the initiative. This is a turn-based strategy game where you, I don't know, I've never really heard of this one, so I don't have much to say about it, but this one takes place on the continent Jadam, which has been mentioned in other games in the series. Dark forces are on the move, and players must make unusual alliances to help with the growing threat. This is going to be in early access summer of 2025. Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault. That's right, Moonlighter is getting a sequel. Moonlighter 2 will debut in early access in summer of 2025. The game will also be coming to PS5 and Xbox. They changed it from a top-down, like pixel art game to a more 3D game, which I don't know if I love that change because the original Moonlighter has some really good pixel artwork. But I mean, you know, maybe it'll be just fine. The screenshots and stuff from the gameplay don't look bad. So if you liked Moonlighter 1, you'll probably like Moonlighter 2. Check that out in summer. Morbid Metal. This is a hack and slash action roguelike game with brutal music and is coming to early access in summer on Steam. The game will allow you to transform into powerful characters to unleash devastating and stylish combos, and there's some pretty intense boss fights in there as well. This is a game in the long spanning range of games that is kind of like samurai / Japan based, both with a twist. This one has a sci-fi twist of everyone being metal, so you kind of know what to expect in here. Lots of parrying, lots of quick action. But yeah, there is an early access mode release coming in summer. Over the Hill is a four-wheeler puzzle game. Not four-wheeler, but it's a car with four-wheel drive, where you will go over mountains and go through challenges to try and find the best route along the terrain while soaking in the beautiful scenery. The game will feature iconic vehicles from the 60s to the 80s, and you'll be able to assemble a convoy with your friends for the 4x4 trek. This looks pretty fun. I thought that the gameplay looked solid, and I am excited to see more about that. A game called No, I'm Not a Human is a horror game coming in fall of 2025. You are one of the few humans left alive in a devastated world and need to watch out for creatures disguising themselves as humans who are attempting to infiltrate your stronghold. People will come knocking at your door looking for safety, but you also need to figure out who are the real humans and who are the pretenders. So it has like a Papers, Please-esque kind of aura to it. I guess if you make the wrong move and you let someone who is the creature in, it's game over for you. So it's probably got some roguelite elements in there as well. Looks pretty cool. Necessity, the Forgotten Depths. This is a top-down pixel art game. Apparently, it's launching out of, I'm sorry, it's going into early access, but the full release will be coming later in 2025. I guess the game is being updated with new biomes, economy changes, and more. So it's already in early access. I apologize. It's already in early access, but they're adding some new things in there, and there is the 1.0 release coming later in 2025. V Rising, the vampire survival building game, is getting a new update called Invaders of Oakvale, which will launch on April 28th. The Venom Blades, led by the Serpent Queen Megara, have descended on the land, bringing with them weapons and virulent alchemy that'll imperil your rule and existence. So I guess there's going to be like a new faction and a new boss to fight in the game as well. A game called Opus Prism Peak is a anime-inspired game, or anime visual-inspired game. Apparently, this is the next chapter in a long-running series from the studio. This next chapter will be out in fall of 2025. You'll be a photographer who finds himself outside of reality, and you need to use your old camera to explore the ethereal realm. If you want to check that out, kind of sounds interesting, I suppose. Sacrifice. This is a game. This is a pixel art RPG, which was teased, I think, during the Summer Games Fest. But apparently it's going to be boss fights. There's going to be a protagonist named Ezekiel. This is going to be out in 2026, so they didn't really show too much off about it. But, yeah, there you go. Shapes 2, with a Z at the end. Shapes, with a Z. 2. This is a dimension update for the puzzle game Shapes 2, which will release on June 2nd. It's going to add multi-layer 3D factories, reworked train mechanics, and various quality of life improvements. Ooh, ah. Starbirds. I was very interested in this one. This is coming from the same people who made the game Dwarf Romantic, which I really enjoyed back when that came out. This is a game where you essentially have like all these different like asteroids or whatever, and you need to build or kind of like strategize and build a colony for your birds, your space birds. Demo for the game will be out in June. Super Fantasy Kingdom. This is a tower defense and strategy game where I guess it's kind of like Vampire Survivors, where your guys will automatically shoot and stuff like that. There's some roguelite elements in there, of course, base building gameplay as well. The release date is Q3 of 2025. Timberborn. This is an update for the lumberjack kind of game where you play as like beavers who are making like a dam, and you gotta build up this like society here. There's a new update coming on May 8th, which will bring wonders of the modern urban transit to the game alongside some more terraforming options. Blacksmith Master. This is a game where you play as a medieval blacksmith. You mine for resources, and you sell your finished products to the masses. This is going to release in early access on PC on May 15th. And then finally, The Eternal Life of Goldman, which I talked about last week during the Switch 2 talk. But this is a platformer kind of in the same vein as Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, where you play as an old man who has a cane that can be upgraded to do various things for platforming. They just kind of showed off more about that, which is fine. And they showed off some of the voice actors as well for the game too. So there you go. All in all, the AAA initiative from 2025 was very cool. Lots of cool stuff in there. If you want to check out all the trailers, they're all on the AAA Initiative YouTube channel. Now, let's move on to what's in the news. All right, the BAFTA Game Awards were this past week, and here were some of the winners. There was plenty of different winners here. Animation, Best Animation, went to Astrobot. Artistic Achievement went to Neva. Audio Achievement went to Astrobot. Best Game, so Game of the Year, went to Astrobot. Best British Game went to Thank Goodness You're Here. Best Debut Game went to Balatro. Best Evolving Game went to Vampire Survivors. Best Family Game went to Astrobot. Fellowship went to Yoko Shimomura. I'm not sure what that means. Game Beyond Entertainment with the Tales of Kanzaru Zhao. It's so annoying that it's not annoying, but it's so crazy that this game is winning so many awards. I think they also won an award at the Game Awards, if I'm not correct. And the studio was shut down, so I don't know, kind of crazy. Best Game Design with the Astrobot. Best Multiplayer with the Helldivers 2. Best Music with the Helldivers 2. Best Narrative went to Metaphor Refantasio. Best New Intellectual Property went to Still Wakes the Deep. Best Performer in a Leading Role went to Alec Newman for Still Wakes the Deep. And Best Performer in a Supporting Role went to Karen Dunbar for Still Wakes the Deep. And the Most Technical Achievement went to Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. So a nice spread of games, in all honesty. I'm not sure who the nominees were for each category, but yeah, I think that this is a nice spread of games. And of course, the GOAT did win with Astrobot. But yeah, nothing really controversial there. Except for, I guess, the Still Wakes the Deep stuff. I guess it is the BAFTAs, so it's mostly going to be British games. So, whatever. All right, Marathon had its reveal trailer this past week as well. Actually, it really happened like yesterday. I'm recording this. Essentially, they gave you like a teaser trailer with like a quick little thing here and there. And then they also had a gameplay overview as well, along with some other interviews from the developers. So if you don't know, this Marathon game is going to be an extraction shooter where you can team up with other players to try and collect a bunch of things and then extract out of there. It's kind of like the Warzone or like a Battle Royale Warzone type thing. I think Battlefield 5 also had a mode like this where you just kind of like the goal was to collect valuable things and leave or be the last team standing. The game looks good. I think the visual design is very interesting. I know that the original game is very much like a gritty. I think it's a first person like horror game set in space. Maybe not even a horror game. I don't know where I got that from, but it's a game that was set in like space and on a derelict ship. So this is definitely much different than maybe what you might expect from the series. It's hard to say why they decided to go in such a different way, but I think this is just Sony once again trying to catch up with the times. I think in general, if you don't compare this game to its predecessors, its other games, and it's named the same thing, I think that it looks really interesting. It's being made by Bungie, so the gunplay should be pretty good, hopefully. But it's all like a wait and see type thing because you really don't know how a game will feel until you actually get it in your hands. But I think the game looks very flashy. I think it doesn't look bad at all. The only thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that this is being heralded as a premium product from Sony, meaning that the game will be a full price game. So they did confirm it's not going to be $70. It's not going to be $70. But that could mean that it could be $60 or $50. I think that this is a solid free-to-play game, in my opinion. Like, $40 game, probably it's going to be $40, but this could be a really nice Battle Pass having free-to-play game, and Sony is once again going with the same price point, or maybe the same price point, as other games that it's had to lock up and put away the key, like Concord. And a lot of people in the chat were saying like Concord this, Concord that. I don't think the game looks like Concord at all. Obviously it has a very much of a different style and very much different gameplay. But it's hard not to compare this to Concord, because it is another game that should probably be free to play. It's another game that is going to be launching into a world, a genre that has a lot of games in it. I've already mentioned Warzone, but there's also, Fortnite, Apex Legends. These are all games that have battle royale to them, that are free to play, that just include some battle passes here and there. I think if Sony wants this game to succeed, they're going to have to make it like a $20 kind of price tag game and go from there. But that's not going to happen, because Sony's all about big games, big graphics, big price tags. So yeah, we'll see. Like I said, there will be a battle pass. There will be 3 maps. The 4th one will be arriving shortly after launch. There will be technically 4 maps, but 3 maps at launch. And this is going to be not a PlayStation exclusive game. It's going to launch on PC and Xbox on the same day, which is actually it feels like a first. It feels like a first for PlayStation. The game will launch on the 23rd of September. And if you want to check that out, I don't know if there's going to be like an open beta or something like that. I didn't see that anywhere. Yes, there is an alpha. So there's an alpha coming out on the 23rd of April. You can try it out and see if you like it. When I played the Concord beta or whatever that was, it didn't sell the game for me, but I said, yeah, I'm sure this could be fine if I got it on sale. And hopefully that doesn't happen with this game, with Marathon. Hopefully this game also is not one of those ones that gets shut down 2 weeks after its launch. I feel like because it's coming from Bungie, and because I think the gunplay is going to be solid, I think this game is going to last for a little bit longer than Concord. But the main problem is, for me, is like I don't know what the price tag is going to be, but I feel like this should be another game that's like in the realm of like free to play. But I'm sure that Sony's not going to do that, because they probably put a lot of money into this, especially because Bungie, they haven't really done anything since Destiny. They've been obviously working on Destiny a lot, but nothing new since Destiny 2 originally came out. So it's like, okay, let's see what they got cooking. And there we go. I also think that this game should be released maybe a bit sooner. I feel like this is a game that is going to be like should be like a summer classic. Like, all the kids are on summer vacation, and I think a lot of people game more during the summer. It's just kind of a fact. There's peaks during summer and during winter. I think that it would be great to launch it during summer. It's possible that they expect GTA 6 to launch sometime in summer, and they're like, well, let's move this away. Our big releases here, let's move it away from that and put it into September. But what happens when GTA 6 says they're coming out in September? I don't know. Either way, Marathon coming soon, but not soon enough for some people. All right, PlayStation Plus prices are going up in other countries. So in Australia, the price is going to be going up by about $1 across the board. The monthly fee will go from $11.95 to $12.95. The 3-month fee is going to go from $33 to $35. And the 12-month fee is going from $95 to $102. So that's the main things there. The extra tiers are kind of the same pricing point, but actually, now that I look at this again, it's a bit more. So extra tier is going to be going up by $2. The 3-month tier is going up so $54 to $59, and then the 12-month fee is going to be $187 as opposed to $169. And then the deluxe, PlayStation Plus Deluxe, it's going from $21 to $23 a month, $63 every 3 months to $70, and 214 Australian dollars from previously $196. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, these prices here. Other places that are getting price hikes for PlayStation Plus are Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, and Uruguay. All these different places are getting about a dollar at the least price hike. So not a good sign, seeing as the U.S. PlayStation Plus went up last year. So we'll see if it goes up again. Whoop-de-doo. All right, we do have some Switch 2 news. The Canada pre-orders have been delayed. A day before the pre-orders were going to go live, Nintendo announced that pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in Canada will not start on April 9th. In order to align with the pre-orders to be determined by the U.S. Nintendo, we'll provide updated information on a later date. The launch date of June 5th is unchanged, which is a good sign, but we'll see what happens. So, obviously, with everything going on, not only in the political landscape, but in the world landscape, we'll see what happens with this. I kind of figured that the Canadian pre-order would be delayed because I think that it's going to be the same console for both the Canada and the U.S., and it's possible that they're delaying the console so that U.S. people aren't going to the Canadian pre-order and pre-order it for in Canada and then having it shipped to America. I mean, it's hard to say what a delay in the pre-orders would actually do in that case, but still, it has. I mean, the political landscape is constantly changing with these tariffs here. So originally, it was like a 25% tariff on Vietnam or something like that, and there was like a 20% tariff on Japan. So it's hard to say exactly what was going to happen in America here, if the pricing was going to change. I believe now Trump has said that electronics are not going to be tariffed anymore. So it's possible that we'll get a new confirmation for the pre-order soon because of this new update. Probably Monday or Tuesday, we'll maybe Nintendo will be like, okay, pre-orders are back on the way on May 15th or something like that. We'll see. But it's good news that the tariffs for electronics have been reduced pretty drastically, and we'll see if that actually gets Nintendo to get the pre-orders back up, because I've been a good boy. Okay, I've been spending so less money. I've been putting so much more money into my fund for the Switch 2, especially after the tariff stuff started going down and the pricing stuff was going down, and I've been good. I have been good. This month's pickups are going to be like 10 games max, which still sounds like a lot, honestly. Okay, there's an Xbox showcase that's going to be coming in 2025, and there will be an Outer Worlds 2 Direct afterwards. So the Direct is going to take place at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on June 8th, 2025. And like I said, there's going to be an after special for the Outer Worlds 2, which should be pretty nice to see. The Xbox Game Showcase this year will be digital only, meaning that there will be no physical event, meaning that there are going to be no demos for games available for people to play, nothing like that. So it's only going to be a digital event. And then in a press release, I said immediately following the showcase, the Outer Worlds 2 Direct will bring you inside the walls of Obsidian Entertainment, revealing new gameplay, details, and developer insights straight from the people making the sequel, the award-winning first-person sci-fi RPG. I really liked the Outer Worlds 1. There's some people who were kind of iffy on the game. I really enjoyed it. It was like number 2 the year that it came out on my top 10 list. So that kind of shows you just how much I was enjoying it. It could have also been that was a slow year for games, but whatever. But yeah, Outer Worlds 2, I'm pretty excited to see what it's going to be all about. The first game was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So if you want to check that out, June 8th will be the Xbox Showcase, which does make it like a day after Summer Games Fest. So they're also skipping Summer Games Fest, I guess. And then finally for the news today, some unfortunate news in the gaming landscape. The original composer for the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack, he's named Riverboy, was his username. His real name was Narayana Johnson, has sadly passed away. There's no, details, obviously, but he passed away 2 weeks ago. I decided not to talk about this last week since it was the Switch 2 showcase, but his soundtrack is one that I listen to all the time. When recording this podcast, I usually listen to the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack, or if I'm just like sometimes if I'm just gaming and the game doesn't really have a soundtrack that I like in listening to, I'll throw on the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack. Or if I'm just sitting around at my computer desk and working on edits or something like that, I'll throw up the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack, because it's one of those soundtracks that is just so good. And I really saw, like, he has such a passion and such a good ear for music. I mean, if you've ever heard this Cult of the Lamb soundtrack, like it deserves all the accolades that it gets, because it's just such a fun and just amazingly well produced and composed soundtrack. So unfortunately, Massive Monster had to put out this statement saying that he had passed, and that it's their office space is never going to be the same again, because he worked so closely with them while making the Cult of Lamb. I believe he was also like the voices of the followers too. So his touch is not only in the music but also in the game itself, doing the voices for the little followers. So yeah, it's very sad to hear, and it really hit me like personally, because on my Spotify Wrapped last year, it was a little bit annoying, but I listened to the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack on Spotify when I was recording the podcast. So my number one artist last year, and I posted in the Discord and I posted on Twitter again, was Riverboy, which it just kind of like blew me away. Like, this was my most listened to artist last year, because of the fact that I love listening to his soundtrack so much. And it skewed my Spotify numbers, because you listen to the soundtrack for 2 hours straight every weekend. Obviously, that's going to make it your most listened to album. But yeah, it was just kind of crazy. It was just kind of crazy. I was not, obviously no one was expecting this to happen, and it was a very sad moment. So my heart goes out to his family and friends, and of course everyone at Massive Monster and those who worked closely with him on Cult of the Lamb. And rest in peace, Riverboy. Rest in peace. Let's go ahead and move on to what's coming soon. Okay, Another Crab's Treasure is getting a new update with New Game Plus. The New Game Plus update will launch for free on April 21st digitally. There is also going to be a physical edition of the game coming out, which I am definitely buying, which will be available to, I think, pre-order on IM8-bit the same day. In a press release, the creative director, Kalen Pollock, said, "We could have been lazily scaled up enemy stats and call it a day, but we are built different. So we added new moves to bosses, some new items, and oh yeah, remix almost every enemy encounter in the game. Hope you all enjoy, and thank you so much for all the support on the game. We're excited to show you what's next as soon as it's ready. It won't be long now." So yeah, additional to the New Game Plus, there's new enemy configurations, new boss moves, and also more trophies to unlock, new costumes for Krill, and a boss rush mode as well. So that is very exciting. I love the fact that they didn't just do like a New Game Plus where everything was upscaled, right? They are actually changing the way the game is made and adding some new stuff in there. And then also the physical edition of the game, pretty cool. I don't have the link for that pulled up right now, but the physical edition looks like it's going to be a nice physical edition. So I that's coming from IM8-bit, like I said, and I'm guessing it's going to be available to pre-order soon, or if not soon, maybe on April 21st. That's when it releases, so you can just buy it. We'll see. Speaking of new versions of games, The Last of Us Complete Edition is going to come out physically and have a collector's edition attached to it as well. So this is going to be both of the games combined, Part 1 and 2, the remasters of Part 1 and 2 combined on the same package, I guess. It's going to be $100 for both the games here. There is going to be a collector's edition, which will be priced at $120. So if you just want to add this to your collection, it's already a pretty beefy price tag, especially if you already own both of the games physically, like I do. I don't own The Last of Us Part 2 remastered physically, but I have The Last of Us Part 2 already. So this is definitely one of those games that I will wait on if I want to buy this collector's edition, just to fill out my my collection of PS5 games. But Pre-orders are available right now if you want to go to the PlayStation Store and or the PlayStation Direct site, and then they will be released on July 10th. So both of them will be the collector edition and the regular edition will be released July 10th. And I guess this is kind of like, okay, there's a Last of Us Last of Us season 2 comes out soon, so we need to put out something The Last of Us to get people who are maybe watching it for the first time. But I feel like they did that last time when they did The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, so I don't know. But what does the collector's edition have that ups it by $20? So there's going to be a steelbook case, American Dreams comic 1 through 4 with new cover art, and a set of 4 lithographic art prints. So I do like that the comic book is in there. That's kind of cool. And the collector's edition, like the new like steelbook, does look nice. I think the cover of the game does look pretty nice. It's like a white background with Ellie young and Ellie as like a adult, with her tattoo kind of circling around them. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool looking case. Like I said, I would probably wait for a sale on this one, seeing as I own both of these games already, and it would just be to fill out my collection. I'm not that crazy. I'm not that crazy, folks. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. All right, Disney Illusion Island. Originally, this was a Switch exclusive, but now it's going multi-platform, coming to Xbox, I believe PC, and PlayStation. And this new version of the game is going to come with an update, which is also going to be available on the Switch for free. But this is going to be a $30 game, and you'll be able to play as Scrooge McDuck. And he'll have his own themed content in the update called Cave Adventuring Scavenger Hunt, or Cash for short. It'll also include all the game's previous updates on the disc, including the Keeper Up and Mystery of the Monoth content packs. It'll also release digitally, and a physical version will be available on May 30th in North America and the 27th of June in Europe, if you want to check those out. So, pretty cool. This was also leaked beforehand, but I didn't talk about it because a lot of people don't like when I talk about leaks. So, anyway, Disney Illusion Island coming soon digitally. If you want a physical version of the game, gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but I think it'll be worth it. All right, Days Gone Remastered. They showed off how the Horde mode has been almost completely revamped, allowing for more enemies to be on the screen at the same time, allowing for the AI of the enemies to be better, allowing for you to use more, characters during these modes. Maybe they have some special abilities built into them for the different characters. But yeah, the new Horde mode, survival mode, it's kind of like a roguelite mode where you essentially upgrade your arsenal as you go along, and you take down plenty and plenty and plenty of freakers. They're called freakers in this game, and you need to survive. And I guess there'll be some like boss encounters, like a bear will show up or a fire enemy or something like that. And then yeah, I think that's a pretty nice update. I've always said that the AI for the zombies or freakers wasn't very good, and that was more apparent in the more recent playthrough of the game. I think like the AI in the game was kind of terrible all around. But they did say that they improved things with the game, new characters, reworked hordes, stuff like that. This will be coming on April 25th still. I don't believe that there is a physical version of the remaster coming out just yet, or it may not come out at all. There is an upgrade path for the game, though, which is like $10 if I recall. Yeah, if you're a fan of Days Gone, or if you've never played the game, this might be a good place to start. Yeah, it is also coming to Epic Game Store and Steam as well. All right, our good buddy Callus showed me this game in the Discord, of course, and it's called Mousework. This is a game made for the Switch 2, but before they got a dev kit. So they just guessed. They did a giant guess that the mouse was going to be a function on the Switch 2. They've been working on this game for probably about a year or so now. And in order to actually make this game, they taped a Joy-Con to a mouse to simulate the mouse movement and program the mouse movement for the Joy-Con, which is pretty insane. I don't think they announced when the game was going to be coming out, did they? Reveal coming soon and release date coming soon. Yeah, I mean, it looks really cute. You play as like these little mice that are kind of shaped like your mouse pointer on a computer, and you do various like mini games, like or party games, I should say, blowing up asteroids, going through mazes, bowling, drawing, closing out of ads on your computer, cleaning a window. Like it just seems like this is like the kind of game that I would feel like is like a good game for like a pack-in type game too. Like you have this whole new mouse configuration with the Switch, and you didn't make a game based around the mouse starting it out. Like besides from that Wheelin' or whatever it was called, the Murder Ball game, but that doesn't even come out until a couple of months after the console releases too. So I feel like they should. I mean, Nintendo should definitely throw them some money and have this game launch with the Switch. I feel like that would be. I feel like that would be awesome, and maybe this game will. I mean, this console doesn't launch until June, so maybe this could be a day one kind of thing going up on the eShop. But I don't think Nintendo will allow eShop games until they have dev kits out there. So we'll. I'm sure once this company gets a dev kit, they will, or maybe if they even don't, maybe they'll be able to skirt it by if it works well enough. We'll see. But this is going to come from Nitro Ltd. And the game is called Mousework, and I think that it's a very cute idea, and I think that Nintendo should definitely put their eyeballs on this and say, hey, that's cool, let's team up. But they won't. All right, you recall I talked about Fragpunk a few weeks ago now, and it is coming to console. The launch date is April 29th for both Xbox and PlayStation. This is the hero shooter that's kind of designed like a Counter-Strike or something like that, where you go up against, very colorful animated enemies and players, I should say, and you try and it's pretty much just Counter-Strike but more frills, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's coming to Xbox and PlayStation on April 29th. Date everything now has a release date. It was delayed not too long ago. We didn't know what the release date was going to be, but now we do know that it's going to be launching digitally on June 17th. And it's going to come with a physical later this year. So later this year, there will be a physical version, which is kind of cool. Might wait for that, might not. I don't know. But June 17th, that's the day for the digital game now. The game will be fully voiced. Will have fully voiced dialogue. And it will star some recognizable people like Felicia Day, Ben Starr, Matt Mercer, Laura Bailey, Neil Newborn, Ashley Birch, and Troy Baker, along with others. So pretty strong cast for the game, for like a more silly game, I guess you could say. But there you go. EA Sports F1 25 is making some changes as it zooms into the new generation, I guess. It's already been in the new generation, of course, but essentially this new version of F1 25, it'll launch in May. And it'll have new team management in the My Team section, more research and development for the My Team section. It'll also have new driver contracts, personal and workforce sections. You'll be able to manage your finances in the My Team section, along with racing as both of your drivers in your team. You'll be able to go into the team HQ and have conversations with your employees. You'll be able to have some accolades and fan ratings as well. Driver icons. Race as Connor Sport or the APXGP in the My Team mode. And also, I guess there's going to be many more things as well that did not talk about. So I guess the main thing that they wanted to do with this new My Team career mode was make it more quote-unquote lifelike, where you're actually balancing your employees, you're managing your wages, you're choosing your drivers, and you're building your cars to be the fastest possible and all that stuff. And I don't know how this stuff wasn't in the other games as well. I mean, I've never played an F1 game, so forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn. But these things seem like things that probably should have been in the game for quite some time. Maybe this new My Team mode is just them all in one location in like a little bit of a story mode type thing. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, F1 25 is coming at the end of May. May 30th. Doom plus Doom 2 is getting a new limited run collector's edition for $666. I am not joking. So this is the collection of Doom 1 and Doom 2, and it's going to have a collector's edition for $666. Let's see what comes in this thing. Of course, it comes with a big box, certificate of authenticity, a handheld Cacodemon like game that runs, I think a version of Doom on it. It comes, of course, with the game physically, and you could also get a digital game code on PC. You'll get a 4 cassette tape soundtrack set with slipcase. You get a floating Cacodemon on a magnetic base, which is kind of cool. And you get a trading card pack, which will include 5 random trading cards. This is going to be $666, limited to 666 copies. Coming from Limited Run Games. This is overpriced and not worth your money. If you're a fan of Doom, I would say skip this. I mean, $666 for this? I mean, this is like a collector's edition that I would say would be like $200 normally. Like $666. That is absurd. Absolutely absurd. I don't care how many fucking things they plaster onto the box here. That's absurd. There's also going to be a big box edition for $99, which will include a physical copy of the game or a digital code for Steam, the 4 cassette tapes, and the trading cards. So apparently the magnetic fucking Cacodemon and the big box and the Cacodemon handheld console cost an extra $500-something. What a joke. What an absolute joke. There's also going to be a standard edition, which is probably going to be the edition that I'm going to get because I was planning on getting the Doom plus Doom 2 thing, but it was only a digital code before, but now it's going to have a physical disc. So the standard edition is going to be $30, which is a fair price in my opinion. The pre-orders are going to go up on April 18th and last until May 18th if you want to check that out. There's also going to be a NEOS controller for $70 that has a Doom kind of pattern on it. It's a red controller with a UAC base, and it's got it's got some very nice Hall effect sticks on it. It's kind of shaped like an NES controller, but it has all the buttons you'll need. So if you want that, that's all going to be available for $70 on the same day. You can pre-order that on Limited Run Games as well. So you'll also be able to get the Doom themed trading cards for separately as well. They did not put a price point behind that, but I'm guessing they're going to be about $10 for a pack. I mean, look, I would get the big box edition because the cassette tapes do sound fun, but $100 is still a lot of money just for some cassette tapes, and I don't even have a cassette player. I have cassette tapes, like 2 or so, for bands that I like. There's a Ghost one. I have a Ghost one, a Monomarth, and Tiny Moving Parts. So it would be cool. It would be cool on my shelf. I have a Doom section on my shelf. Like, it would be cool to have the cassette tapes there. It'd be cool to have the magnetic floating Cacodemon. But I am just not willing to spend $666, let alone $100 for some cassette tapes. But I will probably get the standard edition because that is a fair price for a physical version of these 2 games on one disc. So there you go. Say what you want about Limited Run Games. At this point, kind of disappointed with the pricing point here. Just seems like a lot of money for something that's doesn't seem like this looks like the output that they would have for something that would be $200. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. And finally, here are the 8 PlayStation Plus and Premium games coming to the service on April 15th. So the PlayStation Plus extra games are Hogwarts Legacy, Blueprints, which is actually already available now. They launched that one early. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage Tape 2, EA Sports PGA Tour, Battlefield 1, and Played Up. Those are all going to be on the PlayStation Plus extra tier. And then the premium games are Alone in the Dark 2, originally launched on PS1, and War of the Monsters, originally launched on PS2. So, yeah, that's kind of fun. I'm surprised Battlefield 1 is on here. I wonder if is the game still popular enough to warrant a PlayStation Plus extra tier release? I mean, it has a single player, sure, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll check out Battlefield 1, see what's up with that, because I think Battlefield 1 was like the last Battlefield game that I really, really enjoyed. And I played a lot. I played a hell of a lot of that on PS4. So maybe I'll boot it back up and see what's going on. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to about do it for today, folks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Let's go ahead and do Guess That Song. If you know the song name and the game that it came from, let me know in the comments below on YouTube or on Spotify, or leave a message in the Discord in the Ferret64 section with the game name and the song name and the game that it came from. And I will give you a heart or a congratulations in the YouTube comments or Spotify, or on Discord, I'll give you a super reaction, and you will receive the biggest prize of all, the admiration of your peers. Let's listen to today's song right now. All right, if you know the name of the song, the game that it came from, let me know in the places that I told you. All right, folks, thank you so much once again for listening to this episode of the podcast, the Ferret64 podcast. We do these weekly, and I appreciate all the support. If you want to head over to the YouTube version and put a like on it, I'd appreciate that, especially if you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else. If you're on Spotify, you want to leave a comment, please do so. That'd be great. Also, if you want to rate the podcast out of 5 stars, I'd appreciate that as well. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you so desire. It does help the podcast and the channel grow. If you want to check me out on Twitch, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, twitch.tv/Yemmy the Ferret. I stream on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. Right now, we are playing the first Berserker Khazan and Death Stranding Director's Cut. Both games have been excellent. If you want to check that out, we're playing Khazan on Monday, more Death Stranding on Tuesday. And then, I think that's about it, folks. Really appreciate you listening. If you want to check out anything else I do, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, YouTube. I have a VODs channel as well, Yemmy the Ferret VODs. I also run a separate podcast called Film Freaks with a Z, where we talk about movies. The latest episode is about The Fifth Element. The next episode is going to be about Deep Cover, which those release bi-weekly. And then Fubar Ferret, I've revived that for now. We're going to be releasing those episodes monthly. So the newest episode is available right now, the return episode after 2 years. 2 years of being absent from that podcast. It is back. So let me know how if you want more of those. And those will be, like I said, those will be releasing monthly, so I can keep my sanity a little bit. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I will see ya next time. So long.
The Ferret64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. Small sound clips used throughout the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. The song in the intro and outro is Nightshade by Adhesive Wombat. The Ferret64 logo was made by Player2P2. News sources include PushSquare.com, NintendoLife.com, and PureXbox.com. All opinions, video game related, are my own. Thank you for listening.